fumes de Molly Paris. Oh. 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 Oh, man. Oh, man. Oh, this one.
Good morning, sweet world, and welcome to the No Dunks podcast on the Athletic Network. It's Tuesday, October 25th, 2022. I'm J.E. Skeets, right here in the Classic Factory, and alongside me, as always, Tass Mellis.
Podcast listeners, this is for you!
Next to him, it's the beard one, my top shot hot boy, Trey Kirby.
Ayo.
Ayo. And over yonder, making the magic happen, super producer, JD.
Hello.
Oh, and he's got to be pissed after I just made the mics go crazy.
I had it cranked for no buns for some reason, and then, you yelled into it.
Sorry about that.
It's me. It's on me.
Shout out to the stream team.
Just like Turner, I'm going to take responsibility for that.
Hello, stream team. Thanks for joining us on YouTube. Subscribe, like, comment, share the show. Get your No Dunks merch over at nodunks.com. Send in your questions and comments to nodunks@theathletic.com. Hit us up on Twitter at NoDunksInc. And later today, if you're a fan of the Vroom Vrooms, I always do that when we do Vroom Vroom, but they don't do that in a car. New No Breaks with Trey and Graydon, recapping the F1 race in Austin, Texas.
Boston, Texas. You think it would be an advantage?
That's a fucking weird start to today's show.
Yeah, it's a weird one. Would it be an advantage to drive a Formula One car with a motorcycle handlebars? Think about it. We'll get into that and more at 1 o'clock p.m. Eastern on No Buns.
Yeah, those
no breaks.
Oh my god.
Hey man.
Hey JD, just start over.
Run it back, Turbo.
Just start the whole show over. Go ahead. What you were gonna add?
Well, I was gonna say,
You done to say?
well, motorcycle riders that do the lazy or easy riding way up, those handlebars that are way up, they're like shoulder level. It must be tiring.
Yeah.
It must be extremely tiring on the arms. I'm surprised. I would never do that. I'd rather be hunched over.
Yeah, how's that more comfortable?
It's more comfortable. Or you're gonna ride a tricycle. Tricycles are fun. Those ones.
We have a lot of NBA games to get to, a lot of NBA headlines to tackle, but we had another wedgie last night, and this one happened in Portland, and that means the wedgie whisperer himself, Lamar Hurd, was on the call. Have a listen.
Uh-oh. There you go. That's the first of the year for you.
You know what that means. We have a wedgie. I got to get the tally from the No Dunks crew. You know, they track every wedgie. WedgieTracker.com. Put it in the books.
Put it in the books. There it is, number 2. WedgieTracker.com. They were a little slow to the first one, updating the website. Lowry the other night, but now they're on it.
Yeah. I like how Kevin Calabro, play-by-play announcer for the Blazers, says, that's the first one of the season for you, to Lamar Hurd. As in, I don't touch these wedgies. That's all you. Go crazy. And Lamar Hurd, obviously, jumping all over it.
Yeah.
It's meant to be. He gets all the wedgies.
Why are they always happening in Portland?
It is astonishing.
It's the humidity, I do think. I think the balls are stickier.
It's possible.
I don't know. I just think so.
Okay. Let's get into a little What You Got. What you got? What you got?
What you got? It's hot. Used to be a little freezing in the A. Okay, let's talk about basketball.
Bars. All right, first one here. What you got? I throw a couple options at you guys. You tell me which one you want to go with. We'll start with this. Monday night's more impressive duo, because we got 2 incredible backcourt performances from 2 teams in wins. Lillard and Simons with the Blazers taking care of the Nuggets at home, where we saw that wedgie happen. Or John Morant and Desmond Bane with the Grizzlies beating the Brooklyn Nets.
Very difficult choice here. Both incredible performances. I'm going to go with the Memphis Grizzlies because I couldn't really pick who had the more impressive performance from that team, from Morant and Desmond Bane. Phenomenal stuff. Bane coming out there in the third quarter, getting hot for 19 of his points. But I think John Morant was the more impressive guy. That team worth the discounted league pass price they're putting out there this year on their own. Morant, phenomenal. John Morant has never lost to the Brooklyn Nets. 5-0 against the Brooklyn Nets. The Memphis Grizzlies, 7-0 under Taylor Jenkins against the Brooklyn Nets. They've won their last 7 games. It's an incredible place to watch a game. John Morant, the left-handed alley-oop dunk, the two-handed dunk, the passing, the everything, the fouling out of Ben Simmons and then recalling after the game the same thing he did in his rookie year to Ben Simmons to foul him out against the Sixers way back when. I mean, just so much there. And the injection of Santi Aldama into the starting lineup. I know we're talking about Morant and Bane, which is phenomenal, but you don't really miss Jaren Jackson Jr. right now. If there's one team that can just pick somebody up off the bench and insert him into the starting lineup, they're 3-1. Part of that reason is because Aldama's got a ton of confidence. He had 17 in this one, can shoot, can obviously drive. So a ridiculous performance against a crappy Brooklyn Nets defense that is going to fall apart as this season goes along. They're 1-3 to start this season, but crazy stuff in both cities. So I couldn't really decide, but
in the end, you're leaning towards Ja and Bane.
Yeah, Ja and Bane, because there's just some good storylines around there, and I kind of have an aversion to watching the Brooklyn Nets. I got to be honest. It's like I want to avoid them. It's disease-like. I don't want to see that defense play, but they wanted this game. They did, but they just can't stop anybody. When you got 2 guards like that, they can try with a Ben Simmons, but they can't stop 2 guards like that.
More impressive backcourt duo last night, Lillard and Simons or John Bane.
You know it's a special night when Kyrie Irving and Kevin Durant go for 74 points combined, and they're coming in a clear third here. So, yeah, John Bane were awesome, 38 apiece, but I will go with Lillard and Simons just because Anfernee Simons exploding for 22 points in 6 minutes was the coolest thing I think that happened last night. He hit 6 straight threes. 3 of them, he was blanketed by Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, and it was honestly like Klay Thompson-esque, the way they were just forcing the ball to him, saying, get the shot up because it's probably going in. Dame Lillard was coming down and just calling a play for Anfernee Simons every time down the court. There were questions, myself included, if Simons would be able to repeat his performance last year alongside Damian Lillard coming into this season. He looks like he's got it going. And last night, despite the fact that Lillard and Simons only went for 60 points combined, a mere 60, they got to be the more impressive duo for at least last night, just because watching somebody get 22 and a quarter is pretty crazy.
Oh, my God. We're always talking about, or I guess we did on the other podcast, if you woke up out of the coma and you had to pick between watching the best dunks of the season and the best dimes of the season, what would you pick? The real answer for me is a guy that catches fire in the NBA. There is nothing better than someone that is just unconscious for like a 5 to 6 minute stretch, especially at home, and when they're just like, give him the ball, everybody knows where it's going, KCP's all over him, Gordon was all over him, in Simon's case here I'm talking about, and it doesn't matter. He even said after the game, like, I hit one of them blind. Like, there was the one where he can barely even see the rim at the top, and he just chucks it up. So the 22 points in that explosion there was a lot of fun. I guess, so I go with them last night as my answer to this in the What You Got. But I do wonder if John Morant and Desmond Bane, are they the best backcourt in the league? I know Curry and Klay would have something to say about that. But, man, they're on the short list, right? And maybe Lillard and Simons, too, at this point. But, man, Morant and Bane, with what we've seen already from them a year prior and then now this year, their start, I mean, they're there to me, right?
Yeah. And when you're led by John Morant, they have that confidence. Was a blast coming out of the locker room there because they wanted to give it to Kyrie and Kevin Durant, who, as Trey mentioned, both had 37. Just, thinking about that, two sets of teammates, 37 plus. 37 for the Nets, 38 and 38 for the Grizzlies duo. Hasn't happened since 1983, where 2 sets of teammates have done that. So that was hard to do. But, yeah, the Grizzlies have it all together, and this is a team that's for real. And, on the Simons front, he had 2 bad games that he's coming off of, 5 of 17 performances. He got that one layup with 3 minutes into the third quarter, and then that got him going, a mid-range shot, and then Lillard happy to pass it to him. And it was a little Warriors-esque. As soon as Lillard gave him the ball, just like the Warriors throw up their hands when Curry lets it go, that's what Lillard was doing. He'd throw it to Simons after he got those 2 early buckets in the quarter, and then they started raining down 6 of 7 from 3 in the quarter. 22 of his 29.
Incredible. I love it. I just love it at home, like I said. Like the bench going nuts, too. I think even the NBA, with their clip of this game where Simon's going off, they chose not Simon shooting a 3, but like the Blazers bench just like going bonkers, just going nuts because they don't know what to do. And this was a game that they trailed really early. The Blazers did. Looked like the Nuggets might take care of business, and then, man, they got back in a hurry and put up a whole lot of points. And Lillard, I mean, we're glossing over him here, but like what a start to the season. I mean, he's like an MVP candidate again.
Yeah, they're the lone undefeated team in the Western Conference and a sign of a good team. The Nuggets gave it to him in the first half. It looked like the Nuggets were going to win this game.
Yeah.
You had Nikola Vučević back to the basket about 17, 18 feet from the basket, gets the ball with Nurkic on his back. Left hand, just a lob over his shoulder into the lane, over a defender to a streaking Jeff Green for a play. A fantastic pass, an incredible pass. It's got to be one of the best passes of the season that probably won't make a top 10 list when it comes down to it, just because he makes it look so freaking easy. But he wasn't really taking it to the Blazers. It was an odd night for him.
Well, he was in foul trouble all night long.
Yes, he was. But 4 shot attempts?
Yeah, I know.
It was strange, but a good sign for a Blazers team coming out of the break. They're down and putting it all together there. That's why it was one of these games I liked because I watched after the fact, and I didn't know how the Blazers were going to do it. I had no idea, and then that was a blast for me to watch Simons in that third quarter. And one of the best places to watch a game there in Portland as well. Both Portland and Memphis.
Oh, yeah.
Those are great rivals for one of the best arenas to watch a game.
I was going to say, are you getting the itch to get us all together, do the road trip again to Memphis after seeing like the highlight tape that John Morant already has 4 games into the season? It's like, would be most players, like, they would be happy with like these 10 plays that he has from 4 games for the entirety of a season. So do we need to go to Memphis to see this again in person?
But you hated it. You hated.
What do you mean I hated it?
You hated driving.
You were complaining about
I didn't drive.
I know, but you didn't like driving there.
You didn't like when we went an hour out of the way. You didn't like that for some reason.
Oh, yeah, I forgot about that part. Thank God for me. We would have never got to Memphis. I'm the one that finally spoke up from the back seat going, I think we're going the wrong way.
Yeah, well, listen, I was
didn't
driving.
Want to go to Tuscaloosa? Come on, man.
I love college football.
I met that Mississippi trooper who's a very nice fellow who pulled us over. It was my fault. We were in a rental. I didn't plug in my car.
He wasn't that nice. He gave you a ticket.
Yeah. Yeah, but he also
would have been nicer if he did.
Would have been a lot nicer if he did.
Yeah, but he got us in and out in like 9 minutes.
That was a quick stop.
That was huge.
Definitely a quick stop.
It was huge for a guy that went the absolute wrong way, and then we were driving in the wilderness. I mean, if I took us off the road there looking for the maps, I don't know if we'd be here today. Who knows? We would be in a cornfield somewhere right now. It was my fault. We were in a rental. I didn't plug. I was comfortable with Trey taking over the maps. If I was in my own car, I'd be on the maps. But I just thought, I'm an idiot. Anyway,
the most
we'll get there this
impressive
time.
duo that day was me and Grish in the back seat, and not you two in the front seat. Put the pole up.
I'm telling you, it looked like a straight shot. Tash showed me the map. Looked very straight. We're fine. We should be okay.
We're going back to Memphis. We have to redeem ourselves.
We should go now. We should go, not specifically right now, but we should go while John Morant's shooting 60% from 3 because he's guaranteed to have like a ridiculous game. We might be able to get there for the first 50-point game of the year.
And we're staying. The lesson learned is we're staying the night too.
Yeah,
that was our other thing.
Yeah,
and we're going the right way as well. Another good lesson.
We've learned so much. Let's hear from you guys in the stream team. Everybody listening to the podcast, watching later. All of these What You Gots. Let's hear your answers. I think that one is a fun one from last night. The more impressive duo from Monday night, is it Lillard and Simons, or is it John Morant and Bane, both in victories? Next one. Let's put it like this. What was the worst loss last night? The Wolves to the Spurs, or the Celtics to the Bulls, who got punked in the end? Trey, get us started.
That's a disrespectful question, Skates. Come on, man. The Bulls made the playoffs last year. The Bulls beat the Celtics last year. It's got to be the Wolves losing to the Spurs.
You got to get creative with some of these sometimes. To get
it's good. It's good. It gives me something to get fired up about. But I don't know. Maybe we shouldn't be surprised that the Wolves lost to the undefeated San Antonio Spurs. They still undefeated?
No,
they took
lost.
a loss. Yeah, they took a loss. Nonetheless, the Spurs led by 35 in the fourth quarter of this game. That's honestly ridiculous. Minnesota now has losses to the Spurs and Jazz and are squeaking by the Oklahoma City Thunder.
Yeah.
We've seen Rudy Gobert has now called the team out defensively after these 2 losses, once for attention to detail, once for effort. He is always going to speak his mind when it comes to competing on the defensive end. And the Timberwolves haven't done it yet. They haven't competed on the defensive end. It's almost like they thought, we're bringing in Rudy Gobert, instantly we're going to have a good defense. And that has been far from the truth. They're getting ran around like crazy. It's all about ball movement. If you pass the ball, you're going to beat the Timberwolves right now. You're going to get some open threes, and the Spurs were able to do that last night. Also, Anthony Edwards looks a little disconnected from the team right now. He was missing a bunch of layups last night, or kind of just standing around waiting for something to happen. He seems to be a little bit lost with the geometry of the floor changing. So the Wolves, I kind of think there was an idea that Rudy Gobert coming in and addressing their weaknesses, defense and rebounding, would change things perfectly, and they would pick up right where they left off at the end of last season. Obviously, there's a lot to work through. They've got the time to do it. You would rather struggle at the beginning of the season, but it ain't clicking right now at all.
Yeah, Chris Finch after the game said, right now this team's personality is kind of timid. Doesn't like what he saw. He actually left the starters in at the end of this game. They're down like 30 points. He brought them back, I should say, with the sole purposes to get them some reps. Even though we're getting killed here by the Spurs, let's run some stuff here and try and get a little more comfortable with each other, which you don't see that often. But what do you think to this one?
Oh, they were embarrassed. They truly were embarrassed because, as I mentioned, a good team like the Blazers coming out of halftime in their own building, the Grizzlies coming out of halftime in their own building, after you get mopped in the first half, you come out and play better. They got ran out of the building in the first half. It looked like a bunch of young guys, Jeremy Sohan and Keldon Johnson and Trey Jones, just playing against old guys who are ready to retire. They just didn't want to make any sort of second effort. The fast break points, 24-2 in transition, 39 points right off the bat in that first quarter. So watching this game, that they'd come out with a little bit of tenacity. The assistant coach of the Timberwolves was interviewed at halftime, and usually an assistant coach doesn't say anything of importance. It's button down stuff. Keep it close to the vest. Hey, we got to work on this, blah, blah, blah. He said, they're making us run around out there like we're in a Tom and Jerry cartoon. No, don't say that to your team, because Tom and Jerry, I don't think that's really going to resonate with young people these days. I mean, if it's kind of hard. Who do you go with in a situation like that, like a cartoon, modern day cartoon? I mean, even Bugs, I think, would be smarter if you're going to go oldie. But with a new one, SpongeBob?
SpongeBob and Patrick? I don't know if that has the
running
same
around.
cachet.
Yeah. It's tough to run underwater.
Yeah, but I think
skinny legs.
I mean, people are doing it. They're doing it for the Cleveland Guardians. There was a SpongeBob out there, and it was a young person wearing a SpongeBob. Anyways, point is, they knew at halftime they were getting destroyed. Even their assistant coach, Mike Nori, was very clear that we stunk, and then they came out there and stunk some more in the second half. That was truly embarrassing.
Spurs 36-14 in that third quarter over the Wolves.
And so it really looked like old guys who didn't want to play defense whatsoever. And I know, and when all is said and done, they're 2-2, and it's not absolutely horrible, but everybody just made them look bad. Especially, as I mentioned, the Spurs team, kind of fun because they have all these athletes. Yeah. They want to run 94 feet. But
they're playing fast. It's weird to see a Spurs team play so quick. Yeah.
And they have some vets like Jakob Poeltl and Jason Richardson that could be a good match for a Russell Westbrook trade that we'll get to a little bit later. I didn't see that coming from the Shams Charania article, but
you can't break up the Spurs. They're 3-1.
Yeah, can't break them up, and I don't know if Westbrook would fit on the San Antonio Spurs, but here we are. Wolves, as you said, the Anthony Edwards thing. He said after the game, I suck in back-to-backs. Going back to last season, I can't play on the second half of a back-to-back. He was 3 of 15. But he also said that we're a lot better, as you said yesterday, with a smaller lineup out there and not Rudy Gobert sort of clogging the lane.
And you had Karl Anthony Towns kind of calling out Anthony Edwards in postgame saying, you media think it's funny when he says he eats Popeyes, but I don't think it's funny that he eats Popeyes. Basically calling him out for being out of shape. And, I mean, the Timberwolves look slow. They were a team that played really fast last year. They had a whole bunch of turnovers with Jared Vanderbilt, McDaniels trying to get in passing lanes, and Patrick Beverley bringing a lot of intensity. with losing Vanderbilt and Beverly, they seem to have lost a little bit of intensity.
Spark.
And certainly the Spurs were the faster team. 37 assists for the Spurs, 39 assists for the Jazz. They're just able to get the ball moving, and the ball is moving a lot faster than the Timberwolves can right now.
Yeah, and you'd think with two monstrous 7-footers kind of hanging around by the rim, you wouldn't have easy buckets. And they were by the rim, but just one extra pass to the three-point line, and these three-pointers were so wide open for the Spurs. So did we underestimate the chemistry change of Rudy Gobert coming in and Patrick Beverly and Jared Vanderbilt going out? Maybe that was their first year where they got things together, and obviously it could pick up. But, yeah, the chemistry of those guys in the locker room has just not bonded quite yet.
And what happened in this Celtics Bulls game? Because Boston were up like 50 points, it felt like, and it was going to be a wrap. And then the Bulls just went on this insane run, and then everybody was getting tossed left and right. Like, give me the Cole's notes on this game.
Goran Dragic is good apparently again. That's basically what it comes down to. He has been a huge pickup for the Bulls. Andre Drummond I thought was great in this one, but it was really the Bulls' second unit plus Zach LaVine that came in and played really, really fast. Dragic was pushing the pace, and just that little bit smaller team kind of turned the tide with their athleticism. Vuč was also really, really good. We'll get to him in a little bit here on his birthday, but he was just dominant inside. So this was probably the best the Bulls have looked to start this season. LaVine's looking all right. So, yeah, I was certainly surprised because it did not start off good. Tatum was cooking. I think he had 15 in the first quarter. Texting back and forth with my friends. Unfortunately, the Bulls aren't on this level. You know, the Celtics are just too good. And then by the second half, it was the Bulls are Eastern Conference favorites. We're 100% back right now.
And Grant Williams, I know, got tossed for what appeared to be accidental contact, if I'm being honest, with the referee. I don't think he was, like, aggressively going at him. I think he was just, like, he was angry with the call
reaction.
And then bumped him. Doesn't know where his body starts and ends, I guess. and he made contact with the official, but I thought that was a bad.
I thought it was accidental, and you also had Marcus Smart hammering a ball into an official's head
a couple times.
A very strange one. Should we make a blooper video of that? Let us know. Let's put up a YouTube poll. Let us know. Should we make a blooper video of Marcus Smart booping? Is that the word for hitting a referee? Yeah, it's a
doink. That's a double doink.
It's a double doink? Yeah. Alliteration. Let's see what the people say.
All right, our next one. More surprising 1-3 start, the Miami Heat or the Philadelphia 76ers? Sixers got their first win of the season last night against the Pacers. They needed that, or Doc Rivers was going to be gone, as we were talking about. And then the Heat, they lost to the Raptors last night. That was a split there in South Beach. They beat the Raptors on Saturday night. They lose last night. But both of these teams that a lot of people were, of course, high on in the Eastern Conference, 1-3. What's the more surprising start to?
I think overall it's the Philadelphia 76ers, but we've talked so much about this Philadelphia 76ers team. Can't do it anymore. I want to talk about the Heat. You're playing against a good team in a situation where you're playing 2 games against them.
Yeah.
It's hard to sweep. So it makes sense that the Raptors were able to win. The Heat have lost to the Celtics and now the Raptors in 2 of their 3 losses. So that's kind of understandable, especially when you're playing against a defense like the Toronto Raptors. My goodness, the way they get out on the ball handler. Nick Nurse will never lay back on a ball handler. As head coach of the Raptors, he will never, ever, ever allow a guy to go into the paint. So he gets his guys out on the ball handler. They make a pass. The other team does, the Heat in this situation. And the Raptors are so good at scrambling and corralling and doubling and getting the ball out of that guy's hands.
It's because their defense is their offense.
Yeah.
They can't score in the half-court set, but, man,
they can
score in transition, and they know it.
Yeah. You're right. They're a transition team, but they were able to hold the Miami Heat to 14 points in the fourth quarter because they're too much. They are too much. They are a vice grip. That's what they do, and it was fun to watch from a defensive perspective. It wasn't a pretty game whatsoever, and the Raps get their points from scrambling, and Pascal Siakam, even though he had a bad shooting night, was the best player on the floor because you can go to him right now. He is the go-to guy for the Raps. He's had a great start to the season, both offensively and defensively. One of the best few players in the league, I think. He's just been so good. So he's been spectacular.
A big jumper last night to basically win the game there for the Raptors. Raptors are playing a lot of close games here. The 3-point win over the Cavs. They had a 4-point loss to the Nets. A 3-point loss to the Heat that came back in the second half there on Saturday night, but couldn't get it done. And now this 8-point victory against all these Eastern Conference teams that are probably in their mix, right? Cavs, Brooklyn, Miami. A lot of people have the Raptors sort of in that tier with these teams. So a big win there. But what have you thought of Miami Heat? I think they've been a weird team to start this season. I can't really...
Tass is totally right. We've talked about the Sixers so much that we're kind of ignoring the fact that the Heat are really struggling out of the gate here. They're 27th in offense and 18th in defense. And a lot of it comes down to Kyle Lowry. 10, 4, and 4 on the season, 28 from the field, 28 from 3. Doesn't look to have much burst right now. Doesn't look to have much change in his fitness compared to last season. And the big thing for the Heat right now is they are not getting any 3-point attempts up. They're 25th in attempts, 21st in percentage, adds up to 24th in makes. They need 3-point shooting on this team. Jimmy can get to the hoop. He can get free throws. Bam will give you 16 to 20 perhaps. But you look back at their most successful teams, 2020 and 2022, they were top 10 in threes, finished top 10 in offense. In that 2021 season, 14th in threes, 18th in offense. There are a lot of limited players on Miami who need to make 3-pointers. It's like Hero can do stuff with the ball. Jimmy can do stuff with the ball. You would like Lowry to be one of those guys, but everybody else has to have a shot created for him. And if they're not able to really puncture the defense, then they're not able to get these 3-pointers up. So it has been a bad start, certainly, for the Heat. But they have played all playoff teams so far. Yeah. So, I mean, it's more surprising that the Sixers are 1-3. They've got the worst loss here. They lost to the Spurs, the least impressive win, beating the Pacers. But, yeah, they are providing a little bit of cover, I do think, for Miami struggling out of the gate.
Any other thoughts on Miami here early in the year?
Yeah, it is always the question is when are they going to get into the lane and create for others? And Tyler Hero has been put into the starting lineup for that exact reason. PJ Tucker gone. Tyler Hero doesn't play the same position, but they just need another ball handler to be beside Kyle Lowry. So they got to find that balance of when Tyler gets the ball and creates and when Kyle Lowry does that. And right now, yeah, Tyler, his 3-point shot off last night, 2 of 9, but they still get after it. It was still, felt like a Miami Heat game. And it is odd that they're still middle of the pack defensively, but they did a good job against the Raps. They were fighting and scrapping, and it shows in Tyler Hero's rebound number. He had 15 boards.
That's weird.
Tyler Hero. Yeah. I mean, they're fighting.
That's a lot of rebounds.
You could tell Eric Spoelstra's gotten in his ear. You want to play? We need a gang rebounding type of team, because this is. I know that people claim the Cavs bench is thin. This team's bench is now somewhat thin with Tyler Hero going into the starting lineup. Yep. So, like the Raps rely on their starters a lot, the Heat are going to do that.
Yeah, and it's not helping when 2 of your starters are not playing all that well. Lowry has been absolutely garbage. That pains me to say as a diehard Raptors fan, or a Lowry fan, I should say. He has been so bad. Because the other thing is, like, Lowry could have bad games, at least when you looked at the box score, but he's having an impact on the game. He's taking charges. He's timely baskets, timely assists. He's not really doing any of that I saw. He finally picked up a charge last night because he knew OG was just going to barrel into the rim. He's like, well, I've seen this before in practice. I'll just step here. But just having no impact. And then Bam Adebayo he's done next to nothing this season as well. I mean, unless he is rolling to the rim, he had a big dunk last night, sort of like down the lane. Crickets from him as well. So those the 2 starters that are like, been all-stars are giving you nothing. And it's left to Jimmy and then Hero, now in the starting lineup. He's doing his best. But it's just a weird start. And yeah, you were talking about the 3-point shooting. Last night's game illustrated that. Like, the Raptors 42-24 from 3-point range when you look at just the points. And then 27-13 in fast breaks for the Raptors. And that was a big part of the fourth quarter. They hit 5 threes, the Raps did, and that was enough to get it done and get the split there. Nice to have Chris Boucher back for the Raptors as well. Talk about a bench being bad. The Raptors had been that Raptors bench had been non-existent for 3 games. Boucher comes back. Now it's him and Precious there, and they both had monster games, so maybe they'll be off and running here. Final one. Speaking of Precious, Tastier beef. 2 guys that went for 20+ rebounds last night. Precious Achiuwa with 22 off the bench, or birthday boy Vučević with 23. Trey, taste your beef.
2 beefs on one night, JD. I didn't send in a video, but that's still a lot of roast beef. I'm going with Vooch for 3 reasons. Number 1, first and foremost, I'm a homer. Yeah. No surprise. But also 21 rebounds through 3 quarters. He was beefing early, ended up with 23. You got to give a shout out to Precious. 22 on a bench beef. That's super impressive to come off the pine and beef up. But yeah, the birthday beef for Vuč, I think kind of pushes him over the edge, and the fact that he had 10 offensive rebounds and was just honestly destroying the Celtics inside with the offensive rebounds. So you split it up nice, 10 and 13. That's good to go. So, yeah, give me Vuč, but I love to see a guy come in off the bench and just rebound as hard as possible for like 30 straight minutes. That's pretty hilarious.
That's revenge beef, too, against his former team, traded for Lowry.
Absolutely. Yeah, there's definitely a reason why he beefed in this particular game. Yeah, no Scotty Barnes, which hurt the Raps in the starting lineup, but they throw in Christian Koloko into the starting lineup. Him and Pascal Siakam, the first two Cameroonians to start together in an NBA game, so very cool there. And
same team, at least, yes.
Same team.
Yeah.
Oh, yes. What did I say?
I mean, I'm just clarifying because it's not
same
like
game I said?
Yeah,
that's what I meant. Yeah. You're right. You're totally right.
Thanks, man.
Thanks. Anyway, Precious Achiuwa, there's a Raptors contingent that wants him in the starting lineup. Nick Nurse says, no, you're coming off the bench, sir. Him and Chris Boucher will work really well together when they get it going.
Yeah, that's what Nurse did last year. Those two guys would come in off the bench together a lot of the times, and it's like, whoa, it's a bit of a game changer, at least for the opposition. Like these two, Boucher firing away from corner threes. He had a couple last night. Obviously, both guys can do work on the boards. Decent defenders inside. Precious is like, this was a monster game, but he has had a bad season up until last night. It was, I want to come up. I feel like there's something to a nickname where his name is Precious, so there might be a Gollum and Schmeagol, sort of Lord of the Rings angle. Maybe it's because I was watching that new show. But it's like, okay, Gollum would be what, the bad version of Precious, and Schmeagol would be the good version. It's like, well, I mean, we didn't even know Schmeagol, right? Like,
is this why you were asking JD?
Yeah.
Man, who was Gollum back when he was like, he was like a hobbit, right?
I wanted to clarify that Gollum was a hobbit, like way back in the day. JD, you can confirm this, right? And his name was Schmeagol?
Yeah, I'm 99% sure.
Well, anyway.
No, Lord of the Rings is not I'm not an expert, per se.
Have you watched the new series?
I've seen a couple of episodes.
Yeah.
I'm into it.
Okay. You like the elves?
Love the elves.
Who doesn't?
I love the elves.
Sounds like a good bagel shop to me. Gollum and Schmeagol. I could eat.
Schmear, yeah.
Yeah, Schmear. That's
all
where
rings,
it's going.
huh?
Yeah, all rings. Oh, there you go.
Let's go. That's not a bad idea. Anyway, there's something there. Let's figure it out with Precious. He has his.
I like it.
He has his bad moments and he has great moments like last night with all of those rebounds too. Great. Were those the first big beefs of the year, or did Gobert
had a weekend beef?
Yeah.
But to circle back, we asked the people, do you want a blooper video of Marcus Smart hitting a ref with a ball twice? 90% say yes.
10%
Of course
say
they
no.
do. No, not very disrespectful to the ref.
It's true.
One hit is fine.
Let's just quickly touch on any of these other games. I already brought up Harden and Embiid leading the Sixers past the Pacers for their first win. The Rockets handed the Jazz their first loss, 114-108. And the Knicks kept the Magic winless with the 115-102 victory. You guys want to touch on any of those? Any notes?
Yeah, it's understandable. The Jazz are going to lose eventually. We'll get into a little beef. Speaking of beefs, on the other side, the Houston Rockets had a little beef later on in the show. The Philadelphia 76ers, of course, they're going to win a basketball game. It's fine. They got their first W. The Knicks holding off the Magic team that I was watching this game, and they felt like they were hot. It felt like the Magic were going to outperform this Knicks team. So a good sign there, I think, for the Knicks to have their big three perform.
Yeah.
20-plus from Brunson, Barrett, and Julius Randle. But in all honesty, I was just gawking at Paolo Banchero on the other side. I mean, for such a huge guy, he's got the sidestep jumper going in the NBA already. He can do what he wants, and he had 11 free throws in this game. He's on his way to superstardom. If you're getting double-digit free throws already to start your season, he's got the bag. But anyway, the Knicks, hold off, came out of the locker room, and finished the job in the second half.
This has been a good start to the Knicks season. They lost to the Grizzlies in overtime in their opener, and then have played two of the East's likely, cellar dwellers there in the Pistons and the Magic, but took care of business in both games. And the Knicks, are playing with more pace and are grabbing a ton of offensive rebounds. Like, they're just getting way more shots than the other team. And I've been really impressed, and I know Fred Katz was tweeting about it last night. Julius Randle, who has, he's gotten better at his decision-making. It's not as sluggish. He's making quicker reads on the defense, but he's also just, running the floor. And he's like getting easy baskets that way. And so you've have Brunson, who I was really high on joining this team to make him into like a real respectable team. Barrett's struggled with his shot, but he's still giving you like whatever 16 points per game. And then Randall's playing really, really well. Those like they're quote unquote big three. Good start to the season.
Takes the pressure off. Brunson takes the pressure off Randall. Right, Randall knows when he's running down the floor. Oh, the thing's not going to go through me every single time.
Yeah.
So I can put some effort into that.
He looks like he's in great shape, too, Randall, and he looks like he's in a good mental space, very happy, very smiley on the court. There's definitely a lightness around the Knicks right now that wasn't there during the middle of last season, but you're exactly right. Paolo Banchero is the real deal. Holy crap. 4 20-point games to start his career. Pretty impressive. He's their go-to guy right now. Franz has struggled a little bit out of the gate here. And a nice game for Bol Bol. 19
points. Goodness.
This guy's legitimately in the rotation right now for the Magic. Shout out.
They have 1,000 big guys, and Bol Bol is earning his spot. He was able to go like 3-point line to corner on defense, able to have some footwork on the defense. He had a Euro step. Looks like a travel when Bol Bol has a Euro step because it's so slow, but legitimately in the rotation and contributing. It's great.
He's blocking guys' jump shots. He's got a couple of those this season.
4 blocks last night. Yeah.
And Clyde Frazier was loving him. He's like, look at this guy. He was pumped that he wears the same number as him, too. Number 10. He was very ecstatic about that. Good game from him, even though they have yet to find a W.
And it's fine. It's perfect. They're 0-4. That's what they do. They're looking for aliens. They're looking for Victor Wembanyama. That's what they should be doing. But I hate to go play on words on the most meatball-y of meatballs. We're looking for which NBA player would be the most meatball-y, but Meatbol Bol is good. It's a bowl of meatballs. Even though he's the thinnest guy, so it doesn't really fit his persona. But he can come off the bench.
That guy's the spaghetti to the meatball man. He's so damn skinny. All right, let's take our first break, and when we come back, we got a bunch of NBA headlines to tackle. Don't go anywhere.
Yeah, guys, so I had my buddy Derek staying with me a couple weeks ago. Put him up in Jackson's room. Normally, I'd feel kind of bad about putting a dear friend in a child's room, Jackson. He's 14 years old. I don't know how to describe it. Maybe picture a jam space at the bottom of a hotel laundry chute, and that's what is just completely piled high with dirty laundry. Anyways, underneath all that mess is a king-size bed with a Helix Midnight Luxe mattress on it. So at least I thought Derek would be comfortable. Yeah. Well, in the morning, Derek, he appears in the kitchen, and I say, "So, how'd you sleep?" He's like, "Yeah, fine. Yes, good. Yeah, thanks." I'm like, "What? That's a Helix Midnight Luxe you slept on." He's like, no, it's great. A little soft for me." And then it hit me. That mattress is for me. I took the Helix sleep quiz, so it's perfect for me, but not for him. He likes it a little firm. He likes it harder. Stiff, if you will. Helix Sleep is a premium mattress brand that offers tailored mattresses based on your unique sleep preferences. The Helix lineup includes 14 unique mattresses, including a collection of luxury models, a mattress for big and tall sleepers, and even a mattress made just for kids. I took this Helix sleep quiz and found my perfect mattress in under 2 minutes. Honestly, I might as well have just thrown down a piece of cardboard and an old towel for our Uncle Derek, because it just wasn't the mattress for him. JK, he loved it, even though it was a little soft for him. Not only is the mattress the best I've ever slept on, but the setup was fast and easy. Helix mattresses are delivered in a box straight to your door for free, and it's really fun to watch it just unfurl before your eyes. Plus, Helix mattresses are American-made and come with a 10 or 15-year warranty, depending on the model. You get to try it out for 100 nights, risk-free, and if you don't love it, you will, but if you don't, they'll pick it up for you and give you a free refund. Helix is offering up to $200 off all mattress orders and 2 free pillows for our listeners. Go to helixsleep.com/noducks. With Helix, better sleep starts now.
Okay, I have some NBA headlines for you guys. And the first one here from The Athletic. You ever heard of it?
Love that
I
website.
have.
It's a great site. The Pelicans, Brandon Ingram enters concussion protocol. So no timetable for Ingram's return. I know he's out tonight. They host the Dallas Mavericks, I think, on TNT. But Ingram's going to have to clear a series of steps to ensure he is symptom-free before resuming basketball activities. Yeah, what do you think of this?
Too bad for the Pelicans. Talked about it yesterday, but they've got the Mavs, Suns, Clippers, Lakers, and Warriors the next 2 weeks. Don't know how long Brandon Ingram is going to be out, but reasonable that he misses a big chunk of those 5 games. They've also got Zion to worry about, who had a nasty fall.
Yep.
Not going to be a long-lasting thing, it doesn't sound like. And Herb Jones tweaked his knee, which is probably the most concerning chance of recurring of these 3 injuries. So kind of, 3 tough ones for the Pelicans, but they basically just need to survive with CJ McCollum and Jonas Valanciunas. Pretty solid start to the season for them. You beat the Lakers, you steal one of those other 4 games, and you're living the life while having a couple of your best scorers out of the lineup. So that's why you have a deep team. That's why you have so many people who can score with the ball in their hands, so that if one of them goes out, somebody else can step in and next man up mentality. But too bad, because we just want to see Ingram and Zion on the court together and see what this Pelicans team can actually be.
Yeah, I know you've been mentioning that Brandon Ingram, one of the most underrated players,
I think so,
in the NBA. Absolutely. The first 2 people that people talk about when they talk about the Pelicans, it's Zion, obviously, and CJ McCollum is stealing the limelight. But as Trey said, they're so deep, none of this can spoil their start to the season, I don't think. Obviously, if Brandon Ingram is out for a long time, but they're so good. You saw it when they came back against the Utah Jazz the other day, without Zion, without Brandon Ingram. They had CJ as their lead guy, and then just everybody working their ass off around him. A guy like Larry Nance stepped in and was throwing down, tapping the top of his head because he was dunking on people. They have a very deep roster when it comes down to it. So I don't think this can spoil this bit of a Cinderella start to this season, and everybody's kind of Cinderella pick to go deep. It's too early, and no one's out for too long, so I'm not getting down quite yet.
Yeah, BI for sure out tonight. Zion, Herb Jones are day-to-day, so we'll find out if they play tonight. I'm fascinated to see if they do. Maybe one of them, let's say Zion doesn't play, I don't know what their starting lineup will be. That'll be a fascinating decision there from Willie Green. CJ McCollum, obviously the point guard. I would assume Trey Murphy the third in there. This guy's on fire from deep to start the season, 9 of 15 in his second year. I mean, who fills the Herb Jones spot? That's
a tough one.
Is it Marshall? Is it Larry Nance? Jackson Hayes? If you have the 2 forward spots to fill in Herb Jones and Zion, or Ingram, however you want to look at it, he's got bodies like names we just said, but it's not Zion and BI, and they're not coming off the bench to contribute that way. So it gets pretty thin there in a hurry. But Valanciunas, your center. We'll see tonight. We'll see if they can stay in this game with the Dallas Mavericks and take care of business at home. Hopefully just Ingram's out for 2-3 games. Yeah, something like that. That's I think fingers crossed on that. And the other guys, it's nothing that serious. All right, our next one's interesting. Comes from ESPN. Adam Silver says the NBA is monitoring serious tanking issue. And then within the article, this is from Baxter Holmes, he talked about the idea of relegation maybe in the NBA one day. Well, he sort of did. He said that he loves the concept. He loves the idea of it. Maybe, you do something with the G League, like where the team in the NBA with the worst record, or maybe the 2 worst records, they go down to the G League, and the 2 best G League teams, they come up to the NBA, like your European model there in soccer. But then he was like, that would be destabilizing. So he threw it out there, and was like, it'll never happen.
We're not doing that.
Yeah, probably not. Do you think it'll never happen?
He basically said it'll never happen, because if we bring G League teams up, they won't be able to compete. Then they just go right back down, and we send the NBA teams up back together. This was a weird report to me. It's basically Adam Silver saying, we know there's going to be tanking. Don't you do it. We don't have any way to stop you, but we will be watching. So I think all this means is that we could see some potential fines eventually during the season if teams are resting players when they shouldn't be, because otherwise there are no measures that Silver can take this season.
Yeah, this specific season, totally. I think he is throwing out the G League idea out there because he does want to come down on teams. It's totally true. I think there has to be some form of punishment. This is the most concerned he's been in several years. The last couple of years, there hasn't been a lot of tanking teams. There hasn't been. But with this alien Victor Wembanyama coming out this season, he addressed it preseason. He said that through our lottery, there's a way that teams could get him. I know many of our NBA teams are salivating at the notion of that. So he's very aware of that. And I'm not so sure, though, if you were to relegate teams, that the teams that came up would automatically go back down. We're watching the San Antonio Spurs run up and down in an 82-game set. I don't think they'd be the worst teams. How many teams are we talking? 2? I don't think
one or two. I think would be max.
I mean, the fact that they've built the G League up to be more of a direct minor league, to pay players more, to take players away from going to college instead. The G League's getting stronger. I think that's clear, and they've brought it closer to the NBA. I know he's just throwing that out there, but I think you throw it out there to leave a little vestige in people's mind that maybe one day. I know it's not. I don't know. He's getting closer and closer. We've got an in-game tournament coming. We're getting closer and closer to the Premier League. It's not unthinkable, I don't think.
He told the employees. By the way, this was all said at like him talking to the Suns employees, right? He said, quote, from sources from Baxter Holmes, it would so disrupt our business model, the idea of relegation. And even if you took 2 teams up from the G League, they wouldn't be equipped to compete in the NBA. There's 2 ways to look at that part. Equipped. You can look at it like they get their asses handed to them because they're a bunch of G Leaguers playing NBA guys. Maybe. I sort of agree with you, Tass. Like, are we so sure? Like, would they? But I also think he means literally equipped in terms of where they play, their staffing. How does this go? Like, in relegation or when you come up in soccer, right? They're like basically given tons of cash. I mean, you're to get up there. That's why they're playing for it, to get up into the big leagues. How would that work in the NBA? I mean, would it ever? That's why it's so far-fetched.
It is.
I mean, it would be cool. I'd love to see the Raptors 905 take on the Raptors in an NBA game.
It'd be cool if
the Raptors.
Yeah,
it'd be cool if they played well, but
yeah.
They don't. In previous All-Star games, we had a D-League All-Star game. And a D-League All-Star team at Summer League, excuse me, they usually get beat by Summer League teams, not by NBA teams. So
do you call it D-League because Gatorade doesn't pay you?
No, because I'm being precise here. I know I wasn't.
Oh,
you're
saying back in the day.
I wasn't precise with the 2 Cameroonians playing on the same team together in the starting lineup, but I'm being precise here. And the D-League All-Stars would get hammered by Summer League teams. So,
So you think there's a better way to obviously not incentivize tanking? I mean, they've tried too. The play-in, okay. The flattening of odds, so it's like if you're the worst team, you don't get a 25% chance, and now if you're one of the worst teams, you sort of share the same percentage. Like, they have taken steps.
Steps have been taken.
Yeah, and I think the right steps so far. But maybe there's other things too. I know there's been a lot of talk about like teams that are out of the playoffs are suddenly like almost battling from their record then on to then almost win high picks, and things like that of that nature. So probably not relegation, but I'm sure a lot of people have opinions on this. Would you love to see? What's your favorite G League team?
Ignite.
Second favorite. What's your second favorite G League team?
Windy City Bulls.
There you go. That's okay. Would you be pumped to see them have a chance to get in? Oh, okay.
Not at all. No, I like the NBA players. I like the best players.
Yeah.
That's why they're all in the NBA.
That's the biggest issue. Yeah. The level of players.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think, could there be something where like you as a G League team get bumped up because an NBA team gets bumped down, but you get to like keep like half their players or something like that?
So you get to keep the the best NBA players.
Yeah, but you just get the team. Now it's like where is Windy City located? Are they just suburbs of Chicago?
Yeah.
Okay.
Arlington Heights, I believe.
Oh, I would love to go to Arlington Heights. Said no one ever.
It's not that exciting.
Wasn't so Leicester won the Premier League? Weren't they a relegated team once upon a time?
I believe so. Yeah. There are Cinderella stories for sure.
But does it work in football because they're just good enough to defend, and they don't necessarily they're able to just hold off the better teams, the better players, the better offensive players because it's different. It's a different game. Is that what happens?
There's like 4 goals, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, like 4 plays that matter.
I don't know. I don't want to be ignorant about football, but that's what it feels like. Your defense can just hold off the talented strikers, if that's how it works. I don't know.
I said Arlington Heights, but I meant to say Hoffman Estates. I know you were
I would
wondering. You're like, there's no way it was Arlington Heights. Why would they put it in Arlington Heights? Hoffman Estates makes more sense.
Hoffman Estates. That sounds bougie.
Regal.
Yeah.
We're going to the Hamptons, almost.
That's what it's like.
The Midwest Hamptons.
The Midwest Hamptons and Hoffman Estates.
All right. Our next headline here, the New York Post. Headline read, Brooklyn Nets dead last in NBA season ticket sales as prices soar.
Oh, the New York Post get you with the headline, don't they?
They got you, buddy. The Post sort of, they buried the Nets in this article.
They did. But it doesn't really matter that they're dead last in season ticket sales.
Why?
They're down, about 30% from, if you read the article, from 8,000 to 9,000 in season ticket sales down to about 5,000. They did jack up prices on more than half the tickets. That's a big reason.
Yeah, quite a bit apparently.
There is a drama within this team that probably hurts the season ticket sale, but they still are going to sell tickets because they rely more on same day tickets than a lot of other teams. Right. They were pretty far down in terms of season tickets last year, but they ended up 10th in attendance revenue because they rely on same day ticket sales. So listen, I think I have an aversion here to watching the Brooklyn Nets. Because,
you're not alone, I guess?
No, absolutely. Yeah. No, it's something that's going on within the Brooklyn Net fan base as well. But I think they'll still be middle of the pack type of vibe. But as far as the roster goes, who the heck knows if watching it doesn't feel like this roster will be the same come the end of the year, and then what happens to season ticket prices come next year. I think they could go down even further. But as far as the books go, it's more of a headline article, I think. And they are down. They're totally true. But they'll be middle of the pack, I think, when it comes down to it.
Yeah, I kind of feel the same way. If I were buying tickets for a Nets game, I would want to do it same-day sales so I could know who's actually going to be in the lineup. The more eye-opening things to me is that the prices have gone up by more than 50% for the team's 41 home games, and they're up 66% compared to the 2019 season. That's too much. NBA tickets are too expensive. You talk about some fans being priced out in some arenas. It's not going to be too long before all fans are priced out of all arenas. It's just too expensive. You throw on ticket fees for whatever service you're using, and you're spending $200 easily to go to a game with your family of four. Before you even get into the into the arena and do anything, then you go buy a $4,000 hot dog. So the NBA is going to have a problem if ticket prices keep going like this, but it's honestly ticket prices for every single thing you could go to, except for whatever reason that Grizzlies versus Knicks game that was $7. We should have went to that one.
The Grizzlies are doing a good job of keeping their prices down. They have not priced out their fans, but looking at it now, the Nets are 13th in attendance.
They've had sellouts already this year.
Yeah,
from same-day sales.
Same-day sales.
Not worrying.
It's not worrying for them, but I totally agree. Yeah, the fees get ya. They get you. And it's not just the price. They're pricing out in so many buildings. Our hometown of Toronto. Yeah. I probably wouldn't be here today if the season ticket prices were way higher. I mean, I got in, we were paying $25 a seat back then in 2001, and I was
up in the nosebleeds, but you're right. Just to get in the building,
it's ridiculously expensive. And shout out to those. There's a company there that's in my Instagram ads that's trying to get rid of the ticket fees. It's an ad with three bros basically just saying what Trey just said. It says the guy's just saying ticket fees are too ridiculous. Well, I got this startup that gets rid of your ticket fees. I don't know what the brand is. Not an ad. Come advertise on No Dunks. But because we believe in that product, because the ticket fees are ridiculously high.
You just had me thinking about how expensive it is to go to a game, and you could just stay at home and watch it obviously on League Pass or whatever. What happened to VR?
That's a good call.
What happened to anybody talk about VR now?
You're not.
The NBA integration with VR?
Yeah, that was apparently the next big thing. You're never even going to have to go to the arena. We were all going to be sitting courtside. What's going on?
I think they stopped. Yeah, so there was a weekly game
VR
that was only VR.
And maybe there still is, for all we know.
It's possible, but I think maybe they stopped. The pandemic stopped a lot of things. I think the pandemic may have stopped the VR production.
You think that's when it would have popped off?
Yeah.
You think they're too busy working on legs in the metaverse over at Facebook?
The legs are coming.
I thought the legs were here. Or they're just
the legs have arrived. I think you're right, yeah. I think you're right.
Zuckerberg got his legs first.
Of course.
Yeah. All right. Hey, are you VRing NBA games? Somebody let me know in the stream team or tweet at me at JESkeets. I'm legit serious. I felt like we were on the verge of like everybody doing it. You were dabbling.
I was there.
You dabbled.
I was courtside. I was eating virtual popcorn. I was absolutely loving that popcorn. My goodness. I was going back for seconds. Thankfully, it was a bucketless or a bottomless bucket. It was so good.
Oh yeah, no calories either.
Yeah, it's air. Yeah. But man, I couldn't get enough of it. I'm glad it stopped. I'm glad VR stopped.
Why?
Because I like watching the actual game.
They only had 3 things. You could eat air popcorn at an NBA arena. They had Beat Saber, where you gotta like do the cool stuff. And then your friend will always show you something nasty.
Some porn.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. That's the only 3 things.
Porn VR is still kicking alive and well.
You gotta see this video. You gotta see this dancing to a music game, and you're gonna have to see a wiener. You're gonna have to. VR. That's the pitch. They need something else besides that, I think, is the problem.
I couldn't even get
like a cool game.
I couldn't get beyond the lobby of a VR experience.
Like,
where am I? Oh my goodness. It's tough. It's tough to navigate. But then there's those there's this. What are you talking about? The skiing game? Is that what it is? No, I thought there was a skiing game where you hit rings or something.
Oh, okay. There is. Yeah.
Duck. That was fun.
Yeah. I got in the ring once. I made my boxing debut. It was scary, man. Oh, legit scary.
Oh, VR sounds
terrifying.
good.
VR is good, but like, why aren't we talking about it when it comes to the NBA product?
So what? Who are you battling?
I don't know, just some fake dude. It was huge.
Bald Bull?
It was scary. No.
Mr. Sandman?
I didn't catch his name. He wouldn't touch gloves with me at the beginning. No sportsmanship in VR, if you ask me. All right, final one here. This is from The Athletic. You ever heard of it?
Once. Earlier in the show.
As the Lakers stumble early, Russell Westbrook trade possibilities linger. This is from Shams. He had a bunch on the Westbrook situation. Let me hit you with it. Over the summer, the Lakers reportedly discussed Westbrook trades with the likes of the Pacers, the Nets, the Jazz, even the Knicks, but they had been unwilling to part with both of their next trade-eligible picks. That 2027 pick, that 2029 first-round pick. They just didn't want to put both in. Now, Shams said they are willing to include one of those picks in a Westbrook trade. He reports that Charlotte's Terry Rozier emerged as a trade target for the Lakers in the offseason. Interest remains high. And the Lakers, you brought this up earlier, Tess, preliminary discussions with the Spurs in recent weeks, showing interest in 3-and-D wing Josh Richardson. Do you see any potential Westbrook trades out there? Maybe that Shams is chucking our way or something else?
Well, I do think the headline writer was bang on here with The Athletic. The Westbrook trades linger. I think the recipe here for the Lakers to start the season, although it's been ugly, bodes well for a potential trade for Russell Westbrook because, number one, they're playing hard.
Okay.
I don't mean as far as Westbrook, the way Westbrook is playing.
Yeah.
I don't think that really factors in. I don't think the other team that's going to trade for him particularly wants for that team to add to their lineup at all.
They were doing it for picks.
Yeah, they're doing it for the picks. Yeah. And the fact that we see the Lakers here, LeBron and AD are balling. They look very, very good. So are you going to waste this season of LeBron's career? I think that bodes well to push Rob Pelinka to make that move. Also, the best defense in the league as of yesterday. So they're playing hard. Things are not as dismal as they were last year. So I think that bodes well to eventually have Rob Pelinka probably include that second pick, which seems to be the be-all and end-all for another team.
Yeah.
Now, the talk was Miles Turner and Buddy Hield. But this talk, the sneaking in here of Josh Richardson from the San Antonio Spurs, and what about Jakob Poeltl being added to that package?
It'd be nice.
Because
put AD to the back to the 4, and obviously Poeltl as a
fits well.
rim protector. Yeah.
That fits well. And Jakob Poeltl is helping out the San Antonio Spurs, there's no doubt. But eventually, I think he's not really on the timeline with the Spurs. You got Victor Wembanyama coming, they hope, to take his center spot. Those two salaries combined, nowhere close to Westbrook's, so they'd have to do something. It only adds up to 20, and Westbrook way over 40. So they have to be within 10.
Could be third or fourth team.
A third or fourth team would have to, but I like that idea. And obviously Westbrook and Pop, not a good combination. Westbrook and Greg Popovich. But again, it would be more about the draft picks. The Spurs want to build. I think those are vets, essentially, in Josh Richardson and Jakob Poeltl that would add to the Lakers. And maybe the Spurs and R.C. Buford would do it for one. I don't know.
Maybe, yeah.
But
I would be very hesitant if the framework of a trade is Poeltl and Josh Richardson to give up 2 future first-round picks. For those guys.
That's why
I know you want to help your team and you want to help LeBron's chances to win, but do those guys really take them to a level?
No, that's why I think the price is cheaper.
Yeah,
and it wouldn't be 2 picks. It could be 1.
Trey, what do you think?
You think that you get Doug McDermott as well?
Yeah,
he would help. He would honestly help. This was the thing that really stuck out to me from this article. The Lakers appear determined to give the current roster a proper sample size of 20 to 25 games and assess their needs. We know what their needs are. They need lasers. Yeah. They need shooters.
Yeah.
So is 20 to 25 games too long?
Yeah.
To wait? That feels like a long time. A quarter of the season? Your team ain't that different than it was last year.
Yeah.
You needed the same things last year, so why so long this year?
Because Rob Pelinka wants to enjoy the holidays.
That's a good point.
That's why.
Coming up.
Who wants to work over Thanksgiving with Christmas right around the corner?
Yeah. He loves it. He's going as Rob Lowe this year. He's got his NFL hat. He'll just pop it on.
Yeah.
Oh, Lowe again? He went as the guy from Parks and Recreation that one year.
Yeah.
He went as the guy from Wayne's World that one year.
Yeah, that was good.
That was really good.
He loves Halloween.
He loves Halloween. But he should love trading Russell Westbrook, because right now it feels like it's going to be Westbrook, or they're going to somehow find a way to blame this on Darvin Ham, because you see his name appearing a lot in this article and some talk about he said he was going to send Russell Westbrook to the bench. As we've seen, Russell Westbrook is not on the bench. He's still playing crunch time for the most part. He's still handling the ball in crunch time. That's going to eventually come down on Darvin Ham if Russell Westbrook sticks around and plays the way he has been. I'm with you, Skeets. Poeltl, Richardson, McDermott, they're probably not taking you over the edge, but you're just doing the exact same thing you did last year if you don't try something.
Yeah.
Nice add-in of McDermott as well, because he immediately addresses something.
Yeah.
I mean, he had a 4 3-point game on the weekend. And he's not on the timeline of the Spurs as well. He's over 30, surprisingly.
All right, those are the headlines. Let's get to Pick'em from last night. I cannot find a W. I took Denver because I was like, well, Tass is on fire. I'm just going to back him. They were favored by 2.5 in Portland. Trey swerved because like me, he hates to see the same logo 3 times on a graphic. And it worked out for you. What a win for the Blazers. So Tass 4-1. You're 2-3. I'm 1-4. What's tonight's game? Only 4 games on tonight.
Yeah, and we got a great one. Golden State and Phoenix, baby. Why the heck not?
That's a good game.
That's on TNT as part of their doubleheader. Golden State going into Phoenix, and Phoenix favored by 2.5 points. But Trey and I think Golden State will take care of business. They got 2 points to play with. They can lose by 2 or win this game. Skeets taking Phoenix to win by 3 or more.
Hey, what's going on? I brought up VR. What's going on with Jay Crowder, too? When's he getting moved? Who's trading for Jay Crowder? The Hawks going to?
The Bucks I saw was in that Shams thing.
Yeah.
Our man JD threw this in our Slack channel. Stream live NBA games in VR a la carte starting February 23rd.
February?
Hold on.
What are you, Rob Pelinka?
Then, if you look, that article is from 2017.
Point proven. They've given up on it.
I think they've given up.
Yeah, they've given up. They're like, no one cares. They're like, the only guy talking about VR is this guy named Tass on this podcast. He kept talking about the fake popcorn he was eating. He didn't even care about the game.
No, it was cool. I was getting virtual high fives. Listen, every company is spreading themselves thin here in 2022. Even the NBA. A multi-billion-dollar enterprise. It's got to cut the fat somewhere. You know, it's happening to our friends at Peloton. It's happening everywhere. You got to cut.
Speaking of circling back, our man Jerome threw this in the Slack. Meatbol Bol.
Thank you, Jerome. Honestly, that was no sarcasm. Thank you, Jerome, for this incredible graphic.
I mean, it's the colander on the head with the spaghetti hair,
level.
and then the meatball as a ball.
Yeah,
is just a chef's kiss. Awesome touch. Thank you, Jerome.
Two meatballs, spaghetti, and a colander.
Yeah, it'd be fun if somebody in the stream team, of course, or listening or watching, went out, this year on Halloween dressed as exactly this.
Yeah.
And see if you get any reaction. Try and find a No Dunks fan. That's what you would be doing. What are you?
Oh, you're Meatbol Bol.
Great costume.
Oh, this is my friend. Meatbol Bol. Oh, nice to meet you, Meatbol Bol. Why don't you meet Meatbol Bol? And his legs are thin. They kind of look like chopsticks as well.
Yeah.
I like eating my pasta with chopsticks sometimes.
I never have, but why not?
What?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. Noodles. You have a ramen.
Yeah.
Wow. I never thought of that.
Yeah, it just sits on there. It's lovely.
Good for you.
Good for me. Thank you.
All right. Let's get to tweet of the night.
Tweet of the night. Wow.
Twitter.
As I said a little bit earlier, there was a bit of a brouhaha, a little bit of a ruckus on the Houston Rockets bench last night.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, if you saw, Jalen Green got into it with Jabari Smith Jr. And the great Jasmine Watkins pointed this out. She was watching the game. She saw that Jabari Smith Jr. went at Jalen Green. There's a little beef right there. But Eric Gordon, Rockets teammate, wants nothing of it. He's just sitting there, just watching it happen. And then she attached the photo. I do my work. I go home.
Yeah, that's it.
Eric Gordon just saying, I'm here to just play the game and leave. I don't want none of this drama. Well done by Jasmine Watkins, who is a great follow, an absolute great follow on Twitter. Yeah, Eric Gordon doesn't want to get into this. Jabari Smith.
I like the fire. I like the fire from
a couple
Jabari.
of youngsters.
And Jalen Green, man, I love him. He's got to be a little difficult to play with as a teammate.
Tell me more.
Tell me more.
Man, that guy is focused on his own shot.
Yeah.
And he takes a lot of shots where you're like, what are you doing?
But this could have been good.
They won,
This
but
could have been
long
good. Yeah,
leash.
they got the win. Jabari Smith's best game as a rook by far.
Yeah.
21-9. He had been struggling through his first 3 games. So, yeah, their first win of the season.
Yeah.
Beating an undefeated Utah Jazz team. This is good for them. Although, yeah, the Jalen Green thing.
Hey, and Jalen had 25 last night, shot a good percentage, hit threes. He just when you watch, I've watched a lot of Rockets here early in the season, as they are a fun team to watch, and, and they obviously have a lot of young talent on this team, and I really do love Jalen Green. I think he's actually one of the coolest looking guys in the league.
Yeah,
love his look. But he just comes down and just takes these shots where you're like, whoa, man, you guys can get a better shot than this. He just heat checks himself. He doesn't. I mean, he's a bucket getter. I get it, but a little too aggressive at times. And maybe, I don't know if that's what was going on. I don't know if that could have been a defensive lapse.
It's easy to read into that and say, that guy shoots too much.
Yeah, maybe.
But Eric Gordon sitting there, he's the type of guy that you want, the only guy, really, that's playing that's a vet, as far as I know. I mean, they're so young. Boban Marjanovic was hanging out there. You saw him get in between Jalen Green, because he is they're happy to have him on the roster to be a peacemaker. But they lack the veterans, that's for sure.
Joel here in the stream team points out maybe Green wanted to show up for all the Filipinos in attendance last night. Yeah, I know he did something after the game where he went and did like a little hang session with them there on the floor. There's a lot of Filipinos there. So
yeah, it's Heritage Night.
Yep,
saw a lot of local restaurant owners. It was great. They honored them. It was great. It was a great moment on League Pass. I enjoyed it.
Excellent. All right, let's call it there, guys. New No Breaks coming up later today. Trey and Graydon breaking down the F1 race in Austin, 1:00 p.m. Eastern. No Breaks has its own YouTube feed. You can join them live there on YouTube or subscribe to No Breaks wherever you download and listen to your podcast. Leave your boys a 5-star rating and review when it comes to the No Dunks podcast here. We'd really appreciate that. And we'll be back tomorrow. Only 4 games on tonight. We could do a little bit of a sort of a look back on 1 week of NBA basketball, because after tonight, that'll be official. So if you've got a question you want us to tackle, get them in.
I would say we've played 7 days already. That's a week.
Could have done it today, you're saying?
Yeah, we'll do it tomorrow.
We had all those great headlines that I found, though.
No, you did a great job finding those headlines. Those are good topics. It was a nice Monday.
Today's Tuesday.
No, but it was a Monday vault of topics, I'd say.
All right, until tomorrow, Clipper Bros.
You heard it here first. Have a great time. Turn up. Love you guys. Awesome.
Thanks for joining us, and remember, Hoffman Estates is the Hamptons of the Midwest.
Brace the day, people.